Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge here at 6:14 a.m. I wanted to start at the top of the hour, but the 6 a.m. news was on, so I was looking at that, going through the newspaper, and so that wasn't possible. I could have started at 5:30, but then I would have been rushed doing other things, so here we are. All right. We have Canadian Club 6-year aged. Okay, this is no longer produced. There's, see what it says. Maybe you can see that there's glare. Age 6 years. Now, if you get Canadian Club today at the store, the modern version says aged 5. Well, it doesn't say anything on it, but if you look on their website, it tells you it's age 5 years. Okay. Why did they drop it from 6 to 5? This I do not know. It's been around since 1858. Now they say on the website they say clearly it's not the same recipe as the original, but it's similar. So if you'd have drank this in 1891, when Club Whisky was renamed Canadian Club, probably wouldn't have tasted too different. It was, I think it was higher ABV back then. Like most of these modern whiskeys, they used to be around 90 proof, but they got slowly dropped over the last 30 years, 35 years down to 80 proof. Versus Albertsons Canadian Whiskey Upland. When was it introduced? Don't know. Can't find out anything. I know that Albertsons grocery chain was established in 1939. I also know that this was produced by Sazerac Company for Albertsons somewhere in Canada. Sazerac will not tell us where their Canadian distilling facility is. We just know it's there. It may not even be theirs, you know what I mean? Like it might be one of those contract distilling things that they'd rather you not know. But ultimately, I guess it doesn't much matter. It's produced in Canada and bottled in the United States. Create Tonks says, good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Create Tonks. I have a feeling that it might be coming from the Canadian Mist in Collingwood, Ontario. And let me tell you why. There's a long video about the history of Canadian Mist. It was made in January 2018. There was a one of these free public speeches that they have at the library, and a representative of Canadian Mist went out there to the library and made a speech, an hour long, maybe it's 45 minutes to an hour long speech about the history of Canadian Mist. And he was talking about how, and Michael Jennings gave me that link, so thank you, Michael. And he was talking about how at one time in the early 1980s, Canadian Mist was huge. Like they were running 7 days a week, constant production. And then as Canadian whiskey started to go downhill in popularity in the early 90s, they dropped production levels down to about 5 days a week, they said, to date. And he said this new guy took over as the brand manager, and he was saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about this drop in popularity? And one of the presidents or vice presidents of the company said, don't worry about it. These things go in cycles. It'll come back. So that was their plan, not to worry about it. You know, I've been through this before. And that is true with some things. Like bourbon used to be very unpopular, like from, say, 1972 to 92. Now it's like, oh, let me go get some bourbon. Yay. But it's cyclical. I like how the articles on the internet say, Budweiser, no one drinks Budweiser anymore. And why? That's the clickbait article. Why no one drinks Budweiser anymore? Even though it's still and they say it's dropped to number 4 in America. Okay, it dropped to number 4. So no one drinks it, but it's the 4th best-selling beer in America, and worldwide, I might add, it's still the best-selling brand of beer. And if you did a line graph of Budweiser since 1988, the last 30 years, because 88 was its peak, 50 million barrels. And then you did a line graph of Bud Light, you'd notice something. The drop in Budweiser is followed by almost like the same increase in Bud Light. And I tried to tell people it's not like Bud Light drinkers abandon, I'm sorry, it's not like Budweiser drinkers abandon Budweiser and jump to Dogfish Head 60 Minute IPA. No, they mainly just jump to Bud Ice and Bud Light, especially Bud Light or Bud Light Lime. So it's just, they just jump to a different variant of Budweiser. And you say, oh, there you go, you're a defender of Budweiser. No, I'm not. I'm a defender of thinking and looking at things and using sense. Okay. Budweiser could drop to number 50. It wouldn't really matter to me. I mean, it'd be interesting. It isn't going to happen. So anyway, all right. Now, after this, we're going to put Canadian whiskeys on the shelf for a while, and we're going to go back to bourbon, okay? And I'm going to put the Redemption High Rye Bourbon up against other bourbons until we exhaust that. And then we'll be back to, well, we got a lot of interesting things coming up. If you looked at my cabinet, like I've said before, you'd say, oh, my goodness. All right, now, Super Value is the owner of Albertsons, okay? So then it says, we love to hear from our customers, says Barton Brands. So they're telling you right there, Barton Brands, that's who makes it. That's Sazerac. And down here it says County Line Distillers. Bottled in Louisville. Okay, County Line Distillers. That is Sazerac, okay? Barton is Sazerac. That's in Bardstown. Buffalo Trace is Sazerac, okay? CC, Canadian Club. Majestic Distilling is Sazerac. Whatever that company is in Los Angeles. I think that's Barton in Los Angeles also, right? That's Sazerac. Glenmore Distilling in Owensboro, Kentucky. Of course, they don't distill anymore. Neither does Majestic. They just simply blend and bottle. That's Sazerac. Okay. Get the picture? Albertsons. Now, next year, I'm looking forward to the opening of the Sazerac experience in New Orleans. You say, oh, I thought you were boycotting New Orleans since they took down the Confederate monuments. Well, I am. I'm not spending any money there if I can help it. And it's not just me either. Okay, but the good thing about the Sazerac experience is it's free. See what I mean? So I'm not going to be directly giving them any money. I won't be giving them any money. You know, I'll just be visiting the experience. Now, I mean, there's only so much you can do, but you try not to spend the money there. There's a lot of good restaurants right there in Metairie, Jefferson, Gretna, etc. So we're not too limited where we can go to eat. If I go to a Tulane football game, I could just buy a ticket on the street. Now, you say, well, that's giving money to New Orleans. Well, not necessarily, because how do I know the person on the street did not come from Jefferson Parish and get the ticket indirectly from someone else? Well, anyway, Tulane, I can get tickets free. But like the Pelicans, I'm not buying any tickets from them. The Saints, no. It's going to be street purchases, which means the money isn't directly going to the team. And but yeah, EO College Inn, I would eat there because they were on our side. You know, they were out front protesting those removals in rock and roll. But so it's a case by case basis, obviously. So but back to this. But yeah, the Sazerac experience, I would love to see that now. Oh well, this one is cloudy more than this one, and this one has sediment in it, and this one does not. So this has to be the Albertsons. There's something about Sazerac brands that some of them have sediment. They're not as filtered. Yeah, Albertsons. So I got to make sure I don't look, because this is more gold. That's more pale. That's got sediment. That one is clear as a bell. Both have alcohol eggs. Nice. I think the Albertsons has a little nicer alcohol eggs. Actually, this is a more ragged thing here with the Canadian Club. Now, will I be able to tell them apart? Oh, I think so. But I don't know if it'll be easy. They're both going to have that candy, kind of fruity vanilla sweetness. Canadian Club has an interesting website with all the tasting notes and mixed drink ideas and all that. So it's kind of something to look at. Now, I will say this. Without even tasting them, the Albertsons is a better value, at least from my experience, because this bottle here, this 375 milliliter plastic bottle, notice the beautiful thud of plastic. It cost me $5.99. Now, this glass bottle of Albertsons cost me $4.99. True story. That is the truth. The truth. I have a lot of scotch that I need to address. I have a little leftover money this month, so I think I'm going to purchase that Scoresby scotch at International Market, because they have a glass bottle. All the other stores like Walmart have the big 1,750 milliliter plastic bottle. It is cheaper that way per milliliter, because I could get the plastic 1.75 for about $32. Now the glass is I think $15.99 at International Market, but it's nicer. The glass is nicer, and I don't want this big old huge jug of scotch, to tell you the truth. So I'm going to pay more to get the glass. Okay. And I haven't seen glass Scoresby anywhere else. So that's what I'm going to get. Dancing Dog 60 says, hey, Ron. Hey, Ron. Okay. Hello, Dancing Dog. So Leinenkugel Original isn't available in Massachusetts. So maybe if I make a trip to Chicago this summer, I'll try some and finally try Old Style. Well, let me tell you this. Apparently, Leinenkugel's Original is going nationwide in 2018. So you might want to hold off on that trip for that. But you could go to Chicago just for fun, right? Go see the White Sox, go see the Cubs. And you'll be amazed with all the beer selections you'll be able to find over there. I used to like going to Chicago and rooting around on the south side suburbs, looking for stuff I couldn't find otherwise. Like, of course, Old Style. And they used to have something called Ham's Golden Draft. Golden Draft. It was a draft version of Ham's, but they don't make it anymore. And you could get it for $2.99 a 6-pack, and you could get Stroh's Light, Michelob Golden Draft, Michelob Golden Draft Light. You could find well, you know, all that stuff. Maybe even Schmidt, and then all those nasty malt liquors that you can't get down here. We get nasty ones here, but you can get all the nasty ones up there that we can't get here, like Axe Head. I ended up throwing that can away because every time I looked at the can, it made me think of what I tasted, and it gave me flashbacks. So I threw it in the garbage. I'm serious. Just like that 40 Street Legal, I threw it away. For the Cubs and the comic convention to pick up some new Gods books. Oh, well, you ought to see what I've got in those boxes right there. Every issue of the New Gods, original copies from 1970 to 73, Jack Kirby, first printings, beautiful condition. Plus Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, plus Mr. Miracle, plus the Forever People, all of them, all originals. I've got the whole Fourth World tetralogy from Kirby. Oh, yes. Those Kirby Fourth World books take me back to when I was 10 years old. Yeah, they take me back to when I was 2. You know, I wasn't reading comic books. And beer, of course. Yeah. Okay. And Chicago pizza. And some really good Mexican food that I ate on, what's that restaurant? It's right by the canal in South Side Chicago. Like, it's close to Chinatown. Well, I could tell you where it is later, but it's really good. Plus, I know where to park for free for the White Sox. True story. Now, I don't know about the Cubs. You used to be able to park for free on Sunday for Cubs games. There was, but then, you know, these liberal cities, they want all your money so that they can give it to other people. So they don't want a lot of your money, just all of it. And so now they make you have to pay to park on Sunday. You know, no breaks, no breaks. We're going to make you pay for your privilege. Good morning, Ron. Oh, yeah, best book ever. Yeah, the Fourth World. Awesome. Especially The Pact, remember? The New Gods, number 7, The Pact, you know, where the whole Star Wars series was stolen from. Dan Samuel says, good morning, Ron or Jay. I've never seen a bottle of whiskey over 1,000 milliliters. Is it common in Louisiana or the U.S. in general? Dan, I don't know where you live. Well, it's very common in Louisiana and, to my experience, across the United States. But like here, you can go to Walmart and buy liquor, and the big handle, they call them handle bottles because they're so big. They got like a handle shape on it so you don't drop it. And some of them are glass too. Some of those 1,750 milliliter bottles are glass. And if you drop it, it's smashing. It's going to be like that bottle of Bourbon County Stout that I had that slipped out my hands and busted. If it hits, it's busting open. I mean, the prices around here are unreal. Like some places you can get a 1,750 milliliter bottle of bourbon, straight bourbon, not blended bourbon, straight bourbon for $11.99. Now, I am not joking. Okay, let's do the taste test or the smell test first. Hold on. The humidity in Louisiana is brutal. If you come to Louisiana, you're going to say, what's wrong with all these people down here? They all got sinus problems. Yeah, well, you come live down here after a year, you will too. In Boston, you can still park for free on Sunday, but trying to find street parking near Fenway Park or Boston Garden is nearly impossible unless you want to walk a bunch of blocks. When I went to Boston in 2013, I actually did park for free to go see the Red Sox. And I barely made first pitch. And it wasn't because of the parking. It was because I got so delayed driving through Massachusetts. It was so slow. All this traffic on the interstate in Connecticut was terrible. But yeah, I did park for free. And I could talk to you about where to do that. And it was a little bit of a walk, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Haha, tell me about it. I will off camera. I don't want to give away my free parking spots because then everybody will know and then I won't be able to do it next time I go. Like I know where to park for free for the Miami Marlins. And I mean free like you won't have to walk far, but there's no way I'm going to say that live because then I'm going to lose my spot. Just like I know where to park free for the Astros, which I did last year. Easily. Well, yeah, it was easy. I was just riding around looking for other stuff, but yeah, it was very easy. And The Tampa Bay Rays, no problem. Parking for free. I'm not paying $12 to park when I can park free down the street. Got it. I'm in Newcastle, England, says Dan Samuels. United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, England, Newcastle. Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate you watching from way over there in England. I'd like to go there one day. What do you think of the XFL coming back? Well, I'd rather drink Earthquake High Gravity 12%, if that puts it in perspective. I think I already know which is which. Okay, challenge over. This is Albertsons. This is Canadian Club. I'm going to tell you why. Because they smell different. I know from experience. Okay, let's go. This has a strange, it's like an added flavor, but it's not artificial. And like some commentator, some viewer was saying, they add plum wine and blending sherry to a lot of these Canadian whiskeys, and it gives it that weird taste. And I believe it. I swear I believe it, because it smells like it's got some kind of sweet, like you say, plum wine. And it could be prune wine for all I know. And some kind of sharp, it's a sharp aroma. It catches you off guard. It's like, whoa. And then it whiffs away, and then you don't smell it, but you smell it right off the bat. I've seen Division III football that was better than the old XFL. Oh, yeah, I couldn't bear to watch that. I tried, but I said, I can't look at this. Now, over here with the Canadian Club, it's more of a honeycomb, like literally like honeycomb cereal, but an actual honeycomb with honey, like clover honey. Now, you say, well, maybe they add honey. Maybe they do. I don't know. You say, well, it doesn't say on the bottle. You know what? Canadian whiskey doesn't have to disclose it if it has flavors. They might disclose it. Then again, they might not. Even American whiskey can have blending sherry up to a certain percent without disclosing it. You know, there's a lot of dark secrets in the liquor world. If you read the Tax and Trade Bureau website, a little bit of pepperiness, spearmint, mint, menthol, yeah, like a wintergreen gum. And then this weird, I don't know what it is. It's not unpleasant. Oh, yeah, like somebody said cardamom. Or chamomile. It's something, and you will never mix it up with anything else. You will never not know it's there, and you'll never think this is something else, okay? So if you drank Albertsons Canadian whiskey, a blend, you're not going to say, oh, well, I think that's something else. No, you're not. You're going to know what it is before you drink it. Now let's go with the taste challenge just for the heck of doing it, but there's no purpose in it except for me to drink it because I know already. Okay, but anyway. That is so mild. And I don't mean bland. I do not mean bland. You want bland? Get Canadian Mist. That'll satisfy your bland craving. It's smooth and it's mild. It's like, yeah, you get a little wood. Yeah. It's aged 3 years in wood barrels. Use wood, probably use Jack Daniels barrels for all I know. It's definitely some used American whiskey barrels, but so you get an underlying bit of a little char, but I mean, it's so minimal. And like that perfume thing and the little rye spice, it's definitely got a rye pepper note. There's no doubt about that. Canadian Club whiskey is very popular in the bars over here in England at the minute, says Dan. Cheers for the video, Ron. Always good to listen to your videos, Ron. Great conversation and banter. I appreciate you saying that. I do appreciate that. Now, Another thing about this, there is an underlying base flavor, base whiskey, grain whiskey, whatever you want to call it, corn distillate. Because this whiskey is like almost all corn. And the flavor's not coming from there. Not really. It's coming from the barley, the rye, and this whatever other stuff they got in it, that, like somebody said, that plum wine. I read this long article. I think it was Thursday night before I left to go to the Knights of Columbus meeting, because the Knights meeting didn't start till 7. We had a dinner and ended up not starting till 7:30. Everything was pushed back 30 minutes because they had a first degree exemplification. So they had some other people in the back room being exemplified into knighthood. But anyway, I read this long article, and it was all about how American blended whiskey is different from Irish, Scotch, or Canadian blended whiskey. But yet he actually undermined his own article. He's like, oh, it's different. But then he goes through the whole article. I'm like, well, you basically just said it wasn't different. So it's like, it's an old article. I wanted to respond to it and say, well, how, it's like, how is it different? You just basically said it was different. You said they both distilled from corn. It's like 100% grain alcohol distillate. And then he's saying, well, he says, well, the Irish grain whiskey's different, even though then he says in an article, even though it's nearly neutral. That's the whole purpose of the base. It's neutral. It has no flavor, no aroma. It's just a base. So he's basically saying the opposite of what his contention was in the article. I was like, nah, this guy, he doesn't make any sense. Okay, let me try the Canadian Club. Okay, now, yeah, it's got the base. Obviously, it's got the base. But there's that menthol that, it's like a gum I've tried before. What's that gum? It's like Big Red. You know that Big Red gum that's from Wrigley's? It's got that pepper that they try to make it like a pepper. Yeah, it tastes a lot like that. So I don't know. I don't know. I know Canadian Club's using rye malt, barley, and then a whole lot of corn distillate. It's weird, that peppery. I ought to buy a bottle of the 5-year age and compare them, but I don't want to keep buying Canadian Club. Although I'd never get tired of it. Okay, let's see. I'm looking close because I don't have my glasses on. I've ended up saying things that I've regretted later. So as Dirty Harry said, man's got to know his limitations, so I stick to beer. Oh my goodness. Drink gin and you'll end up doing things you'll regret later, not just saying things. I don't like messing with that gin. That gin is insidious, It's he said, I meant to say I can't handle whiskey. Yeah, whiskey's can be bad. Gin can be way worse. Way worse. It's like if I'm drinking gin and and normally somebody might say something ugly to me if I'm on the internet and I'm like, oh, well, ha ha ha, doesn't matter. But I'm drinking gin or tasting it and they say something, I'm like, what happened? Hey, what happened? So I'm like, no, I don't need that. Oh, well. Though Jameson's as a shot, I'll do from time to time. Jameson, yeah, that's a good one. It's so popular down here too, by the way. Now, my daddy says, my father says, I said, you ever heard of Canadian Club? He said, Canadian Club? Who hasn't heard of that? Everybody used to drink CC and 7. Canadian Club and 7-Up. So I was just wondering, you know. All right, so at the end of the line, are they different? You better believe they're different. How you would ever confuse these two, I do not know. And I'm not doing a good job describing the flavors. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm trying to make close approximations, okay? Approximations. Because there's something very strange about the flavor here. It's not bad, like it's rancid or anything. It's just weird. And I'm starting to really believe that plum wine thing that the guy said, but I think it might be even prunes now. Oh my goodness. Is that what they used to call bars, gin joints back in the day because of the brawls? I wonder. Yeah, it probably was something to do with that. If you listen to that song Stagger Lee by the Grateful Dead, their version of it, they're talking about make me a gin fizz love, and it's all about violence at a bar. And the woman fussing with the sheriff, you know, giving him a hard time, saying, "You'll arrest the girls for turning tricks, but you're scared of Stagger Lee." Okay. But she orders a gin fizz and then shoots the guy. All right. So this has that unusual honeycomb undertaste. And this one has that unusual, I don't know what it is. Taste, undertaste. Almost like an overtaste. You go buy a bottle of Albertsons, if you could tell me what that flavor is, I'll appreciate it, because I don't know. Dancing Dog said, "That's a great song." Oh, yeah. With a great guitar work. Wow, wow, wow. One of my favorite songs of the 1970s was Brandy. Yeah, what a good wife you would be. One of my favorites is right, what a good wife, about the guys at the dock, and Brandy works in the bar, and they all stop there and they talk to her because they love her and they all want to marry her, but she's got a man anyway, and blah blah blah, you know. Yep. They play that song all the time in the grocery stores. They don't play my favorite songs from the 70s, though. They don't play my favorite songs from the 70s in the grocery store. Nope. No, they do not. All right, so end of the story. They do have a commonality. Now, what's the commonality here? What's the commonality? Well, Dancing Dog said, yeah, the 1970s was a great time for songwriting. XFL will be awesome. It won't matter if it's a freak show. Laugh out loud, says Dennis Day. You could watch it, Dennis, but I'm not. Ugh. Yeah, I can think of so many good songs in the 1970s. You know, I like that song, "Have You Seen the Stars Tonight?" Have you seen the stars tonight? Won't you come up on a deck and look at them with me? It's about people on a spaceship and they're looking at the stars on. You know. Good song. The commonality is there's a base flavor, a base. Like, you know, like you don't really get a flavor like they're saying on the website from the corn distillate. You don't get a flavor per se, but you get a presence. Oh, I shouldn't have said presence. 1976. Start singing Candy Store Rock. All right, but there's a presence of that corn distillate base. It's hard to describe, but if you drink enough blended whiskeys, you really get used to that. It's almost like a bubble of a base. It's hard to describe, but if you only drink straight whiskey, like say straight bourbon and all, single malt whiskey, you don't experience that. And I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm saying it's different. It's well, it's the kind of thing you have to experience it or you don't understand it. Yes, Dancing Dog said, yes, all that stuff from Wings I really like, and even the pop stuff was good. Let me roll it to ya. Let me roll it. Yeah, I got that album. 2 copies, first printing, by the way. Badfinger, yeah. Alice Cooper. Oh, Millie, oh, Billy, criminally insane. I gotta get out of here. 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 All right, great stuff. Great stuff, says Dancing Dog. Dancing days are here again. Okay, Autobahn. Bon, at the Autobahn. Yeah, the 70s. We're going to do a series of drinking whiskeys from the 70s. Actually, I did that 1977 bottle of Old Crow. 1977. Oh. You could be my silver spring. Blue, green colors flashing, right? Okay. I would be your only dream. Okay, well, anyway, Alice, yeah, laugh out loud. Some of the stuff he did in the early 80s was very different. It was bizarre. Like, if you watch that live concert, I think it's from Largo Center, Capitol Center in Largo, Maryland. He did a concert in 1981, and everybody was saying, Alice Cooper's sick, he's dying, he's dying. What was that album? Can't remember it. Somewhere he's dressed up like a pilot, remember? Flush the Fashion album. Yeah. And then I wasn't much of a fan of his early 80s stuff. Well, but if you watch the concert, which is in black and white, by the way, he's got his face made up to look very sickly, like it's the makeup, but he looks very sickly. Yeah, you saw that concert, Jerry? And his hair was up and he had that hat on. And he did like half the concert, and you could see the audience reaction was like, what's wrong with him? He just looked bad. And then midway through the concert, like after like an intermission, he comes out and he's singing something, Then he takes the hat off and he takes the pins out of his hair, and his long hair comes down. And then he looked like Alice Cooper that everybody knows. And then he says in the microphone, "How'd you going, huh?" So I said, yeah, that's a great, almost like the whole thing was staged, I said, this guy here, he's something else, All right, anyway, enough talk about rock and roll. You could join Rock and Roll Club if you want to talk about that. Cherry bomb. Don't get me started on the Runaways. Don't get me started on the Runaways. Don't get me started on Mama's Boy. I got to see Alice in South Haven on the Motley Crue farewell tour. He was awesome. Hey, Ron, a big fan, says Ruben Mendez. Hey, Ron. Hey, Ruben, thanks for watching. I come up the river to kill many people. I come up the river like big moon fly. Okay, wow, Jerry, sounds awesome. All right, that does sound like a good time. Okay, so Canadian Club is finito for now. We're going to put it on the shelf for now. We will revisit it because, as you can see, I got a whole lot left. I got so many Canadian whiskeys I'm going to put up against it. It will be a very rollicking time had by all. The very unusual Albertsons Canadian whiskey, a blend, is going to be put away for now. What's wrong with it? Well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just peculiar to a great extent. Very strange item. And the next few weeks, it looks like we're going to be dealing with bourbon. Oh boy, you say bourbon? Yeah, a lot of bourbon. I was lucky enough. Okay, we got to shut this off. I was lucky enough to catch what's left of the Who about 8 years ago. I wanted to have a Schlitz in honor of them. Ah, right, because of their 1982 Schlitz Across America tour. Right, Schlitz sponsored the 1982 tour. It's hard. Athena. Oh. Who's next? All right, who's next? Okay, I was wrapped up like a drum. Okay, all right, okay, enough. Everybody take care now. Have a great Saturday, and we'll try to do another taste challenge tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll start the day tomorrow with a taste for you. 1, 2. Whiskey is on the slate for us.